Tommy Turbo, mate, 875K, which almost feels like a discount with Turbo. I'm sure you might have some better analysis to throw at people. I'm just too scared not to have him. That's sort of the end of the road for me. I'm too scared not to have Turbo. I will be starting with him, whether it's fullback, flex, whatever it might be. He will be in my team. What are your thoughts on Tommy?
My thoughts on Guru are very different little attitude to this time last year, Roo, when you were slamming me about my Tommy Turbo love.
You said he'd average 135 again.
Wrong. I said he could, and he could do it again.
Oh, fucking bullshit. It's not going to happen. It was the 2021. I'm not doing this again with you. I'm starting with him, but don't even bother. That would put him at about $1.4 million in Supercoach, which is outrageous. I do not think a player will ever average above 115. That's my take for you, okay? So 135 is outrageous.
You're an idiot. He could do it this year. Anyway, he's in my team, if you haven't got the gist.
He'd want to be in your fucking team after that.
So I'm starting without Tom Triple H. Their draw is the big kicker. So they start the year with game against the Cowboys at home, Warriors away, Raiders at home, Eels at home. They play 3 bottom 8 sides from last season in the opening 4 games. The other one is the Cowboys, who A, I don't have them in my top 8 this year, and B, even from a Supercoach standpoint, playing them in Townsville is a fantastic track for Supercoach scoring. So the draw couldn't be too much better. 4 of his opening 5 games are at Brookvale Oval. I just think he's terrific. Started last year with a 77.4 average across the first 5 games. The last one of those was 111 against Penrith, which is just unheard of. He then finished the season with an average of 104 in his final 8 games. That was coming back from an injury. So, mate, you don't have to have him because of the calibre of fullbacks that you can go with elsewhere, but he'll be in my team.
I almost disagree. I think you do have to have him. I think not having him is going to be a mistake, and maybe someone else jump out of the ground. You know, there's a lot of talented players we're going to talk about, but as I said at the start, I am petrified not to have him, and I personally think it'll be a mistake not to have him. So he is an absolute certainty in my side. Anything else on Tommy Turbo?
No.
Let's move to Latrell Mitchell. Another one that I've got in my side at the moment, 866K. I think they've got a reasonably tough start to the season from memory.
Dolphins away, Dragons away, both. I mean, away from home is never great, but not bad. Quite good fixtures, to be fair. Sharks away, very tough. Panthers at home, Roosters at home. So first couple of weeks not bad, then it gets tougher.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's not a total train wreck, actually. Like, I'm okay with the Sharky. Penrith is the real concern there, but like I'm not as concerned about the Roosters.
Sharks at Shark Park's pretty tricky fixture early on in the season.
Yeah, fair. I don't know. Sharkies are going to Vegas. They're going to North Queensland. Yeah, I think Latrell will be okay to start the season. I think he'll average around about that 80, 90 sort of mark.
The big thing about Trell is he's probably the most fixture-proof of any fullback, right?
Yeah, I think so, yes. I think as well, you know, the Gold Kings obviously done it over the last few years as well, but, you know, that always helps. And if Campbell Graham does miss the first few weeks, I think that makes him very left-side dominant. I think that only helps Trell Mitt. So a lot of positives there for me. Obviously, Wayne Bennett's arriving back there. I think it's fair to say, mate, just eyeballing Latrell, he just looks fitter, I'd argue, than he probably ever has. Take out maybe when he was 18, 19, but ever since he's had his man body, I think he looks fitter now than he ever has.
Yeah. Like we talk about the preseason eye test, and that when we say that, we refer to the trial games and how they look in those. He's like preseason eye test. He looks good in photos and in videos on social. He looks so fit, doesn't he?
And I think as well, mate, with Latrell, he is the number 1 player in this competition. It's all about body language for me with Latrell.
Yeah.
And, you know, this preseason, I think it just looks completely different to me. He's smiling all the time. He's up and about. Whenever he gets picked for Origin, you can just see that he's just a different guy. And I think Wayne's just got that out of him at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. He first 5 games last year averaged 73.6. That included 110 in Vegas. The first 5 rounds of 2023, he only averaged 60.4. But he did then go on in round 6 to 9 to go 146, 121, 102, 96. As it stands in my team, I'm and this could easily change throughout the preseason, but I'm looking at it probably tossing up Ponga v Latrell to partner Tommy Turbo.
Okay, are you genuinely like 50-50 on them at the moment, or who are you leaning towards?
Ponga.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
We'll get to him shortly, but a great draw as well. Latrell looks good. I want to see the Bunnies. I want to see Latrell play some footy and see what he looks like. If he comes out and dominates like we know he can, I'll probably just put him straight in and flick KP. But that's probably a good segue into KP.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to Kalen Ponga then, yeah? 790K up there at Newcastle, goal kicking, one of these fullbacks goal kicks once again. I have serious concerns about Newcastle this year, mate. I think they're my number one team to drop out of the top 8. I think that there's a lot more going on at Newcastle that I think wins against poor teams have covered at the back end of last season. The halves, it looks like there's going to be a shake-up there once again. I'm sure there will be at round 2 as well. I just have no faith in Newcastle right now. I think they're a middle short, and I think that will start to impact KP. He is an absolute freak, though. There's no denying that. But, yeah, I feel safer with Trell and Turbo over KP. Talk me into him, mate.
Yeah. I said very on the fence with him in Latrell, but draw to open the season is very good, minus a little bye in round 4, which is a bit annoying. But he has Tigers away, Dolphins at home, Titans away, the bye, Bulldogs away, probably the only tough fixture there. Then he plays the Tigers again at home. The draw is unreal, but you do wedge in the bye. Doggies away, based on last year, it's tough.
It should be tough,
but
yeah.
The Dogs have to do it again. Yep. Like the thing with the Doggies is, and I think they make the 8 this year and play some good footy. How many teams have we seen, and good quality teams, have one good year and then regress and fall back the year after? Like, there's a target on their back now. There wasn't last year.
Yep.
By the back end of the season there was, but they're just teams will view them in a completely different light this year. So we'll see. Around Ponga, opened last season with scores of 50 and 45, then went nuts, averaged 84.3 across the opening 6 weeks of the season prior to that injury. So that's including that 50 and the 45.
Yep.
That included games against the Storm, Roosters and the Warriors in New Zealand. Excluding his injury game last season, he had 6 tons and 2 90s across his 14 games with a low of only 45. That was kind of the one for me that went, oh boy, that is some good scoring. Excluding his injury-impacted games in 2023, he played 16 games and had 6 tons and 4 90s. So I have the same concerns with you about the Knights. I'm not convinced on how well they're going to go. That being said, there's no reason why, particularly with those fixtures, that KP can't carve up anyway. Yeah.
I'll tell you, just looking at that draw as well, the other advantage that I like, obviously Tigers round 1, I think it's going to take the Tigers a while to put it all together. You got the Dolphins at home. Mate, I love when I get a fullback playing on the Gold Coast. I love that track up there. It's
fantastic
unreal.
away fixture for Supercoach.
Yeah, it is. That buy in round 4 isn't ideal. Mate, if you're going to start with Kalen Ponga, I'm sort of happy to get a buy out of the way kind of early. I think that, copping one buy here and there, it was one thing I learned from last year, or one thing that I took away. I don't think it was as much of an issue as what people carried on with it. We'll get to, guys throughout this process and then have buys in round 1 and round 2 and whatnot. And I don't think it matters as much. So
Are you like a line through KP, or are you a...
Mate, it's not so much I've got a line through KP. It's more so I'm just sold on Latrell and Turbo.
Yeah, fair.
I just think they're too good. If people want to go KP and go a little bit different, mate, you're playing 3 bottom 8 teams. You play the Tigers twice in the first 6 weeks. Like, I get it. 100%. I can make sense of it. And you know what? If the Knights come out and they look unreal in trials, and whichever halves pairing they choose, or that there's a forward that jumps out of the ground and they look different all of a sudden, I'll reassess. But at the moment, Latrell and Turbo just look too appealing to me.
Yeah, and the difference between probably Latrell and Ponga is, if the Knights struggle early and don't turn up and struggle for points, KP scores will suffer. If the Bunnies are underwhelming again, Latrell can still score quite well.
Yes,
I think. Ponga currently at 31% ownership. Tommy Turbo at 31% ownership. Latrell at 26% ownership. So
wow, that's wild to me.
How so?
I just
like Ponga v Latrell and Turbo, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought Turbo would be close to an automatic guy. I assume Iongi's a lot higher than those guys.
He's at 50%.
Okay, so I guess that takes up one spot.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm very sold on Latrell and Turbo. I wouldn't push against anyone that went KP, but I think Latrell and Turbo are the ones for me.